And welcome to another episode of Pre-Game Talk. I'm your host, Blain Pudvey. You can find me at Habs Unfiltered when you have some free time. I'm joined now by the owner, top writer, staff writer, janitor, man of all trades, Grant McCagg. Welcome, Grant.
Hey, Blaine.
Yes, I do like to mix that up a little bit every time.
Yeah. I, I
So
I I preferred the last one, but this, whatever.
we
This
got to
will
mix
do,
it
I
up.
guess. Yeah.
So tonight, the Laval Rocket are going to be playing the Manitoba Moose. It has been announced that Kaiden Primo is the starter for this game. And today, the Canadians announced that Gianni Fairbrother and Kaiden Guhle will be returning to their junior clubs. However, Kaiden Guhle is available for the game and will dress. So anybody who wants to watch Kaiden Guhle one more time playing professional hockey for the foreseeable future anyway, they can tune in tonight on AHL TV or RDS. So, any thoughts on the play of the young defenseman so far this year?
Well, it's not a surprise that they're going back to junior.
Yeah.
You know, Guhle was just drafted, so even though I think he's good enough to play at the AHL level, he can't. He's got to go back. Um, he might be back at the end of the year. He could be playing for Laval after the WHL season ends. I haven't looked at the schedules and know really which will end first, or a lot will depend on how well Prince Albert does in the playoffs, if they have a playoff, or I don't know what they're doing. I haven't really studied it, but as a rule, the AHL season usually goes on later, obviously, than the WHL. I think Prince Albert will have a good team though, and if they have a regular playoff, type thing, I'm not sure what they're doing yet. Um, you know, their season may end later than Laval's, and you won't see them at all. But um, it doesn't mean that the Habs wouldn't also, if they're still playing, could call them up and be practicing with the team and all that stuff. That wouldn't surprise me after his season's over, that he's practicing with Laval or Montreal or both. And but he really looked good in the second game, didn't he?
Oh yeah, so mobile. He had good speed. He was activating into the rush, physical, and he took no guff off anyone. He was in every play when he was on the ice.
I thought he had a lot more offensive confidence too. He was
Yeah,
jumping into the play there.
yeah. He set up
He wanted a
Yolonen for a
goal.
nice play.
Oh, that was a nice rush, wasn't it?
Yeah,
You got a glimpse of his offensive capabilities that I think are a little underrated. I don't. He's never going to lead the NHL in defense scoring, but
no.
I don't see why he couldn't be a 30, 40 point guy if everything develops properly.
Yeah, he got over 40 points in his last full junior season. So, and we saw what he could do in the World Juniors against top opposition as an 18-year-old. So it shouldn't be a surprise if he becomes a 30-point second pairing defenseman eventually.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, typically the 18-year-old Canadian defensemen don't, they aren't point producers. In fact, he scored as many goals. The last one to score more goals at his age was Dougie Hamilton a decade ago.
Not bad.
So it's always the second time around is where you see them be asked to play more of an offensive all-around role. And
Yep.
if he doesn't make the Canadians next year, and I'm not saying that he doesn't, it's a possibility, but if he doesn't, he'll be wearing a letter next year at the World Juniors, maybe the C, depending on Drysdale whether he makes the team or not. If he doesn't, it might be Guhle, and he'll be asked to be one of the leaders defensively and offensively next year.
Very possible, especially with the trajectory of his progression so far. Now on Fairbrother, he's played a few AHL games as well. He was a third round pick of the Canadians, and he did not look out of place either.
No, especially in the first game. I think that was his best. And sometimes, you're running I've mentioned it before, but running on adrenaline, and he was really excellent the first game. But I mean, there was nothing wrong with how he played the other two games as well. Certainly didn't see a lot of mistakes from him,
No.
and for a junior aged kid to step into the AHL and not really make a lot of mistakes like Xavier. Well, that's been making more mistakes than Fairbrother did in the last three games. Uh, I and Joel, the way he talked about him today, I'm going to be posting the press conference soon on YouTube there, the recruits channel, and you can have a look at it. But he, the way he's talking about him, certainly if it was up to him, whether he signed to a contract, I would think that they're leaning towards that, but they don't have to. If he struggles at the WHL level the rest of the way, maybe he doesn't. But I think that they're going to seriously consider at the end of the year when some other contracts are coming up and stuff and decisions to make. I think he's in the running for sure to get a contract.
Well, I'm sure that the few games that he had in pro kind of helps his stock a little bit, especially when he really you didn't notice him, and then which is good for a defensive type defenseman. So if you don't hear his name, that's a good sign.
Oh yeah, and he had some good scoring shot opportunities too. He does have a very good point shot, and he jumped up into the rush on that one play in particular where he darn close to scoring a pivotal goal for the team. And uh, he's so aggressive. He's very strong. He's not the tallest guy out there. He's probably a little shade under 6 feet, I think, but
Yeah.
he's solid 200-pound kid that's tough as nails. So I think Gianni, Joel had a lot of good things to say about him, and I really think that they're hoping that he keeps progressing this year, and at the end of the year, bring him on board as one of their 50 contracts.
Well, he's definitely got the inside track, and we'll switch gears here to something a little bit more topical for the Canadians. Today, you released an article on recruits.ca that, if you want to read it, you need to subscribe, folks. It's well worth the subscription, along with all the other great content that's found on recruits.ca. You wrote an article about Carey Price and some future thoughts. So can you walk us through a little bit of that?
Yeah, well, I don't want to divulge too much. We want to get people subscribing, as you say.
Get a little teaser out there.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, I mean, I just explore uh, why they should look at trading him, shopping him at least. The longer this goes on, the less chance that they are going to be able to shop him if he doesn't start playing better. Uh, Obviously, his stock isn't at an all-time high right now, but if he keeps playing like he is, it's only going to sink. I think there's a perception still in the league to a certain degree that he's one of the best goalies, even though his save percentage the last 2 years is right at the bottom of the league. Um, so, how long do you wait, right? The team needs to win now. I don't know that Bergevin keeps his job if they miss the playoffs this year. So he's got to at least look at it. I think he's got to look at a major shake-up of some sort if the club keeps struggling. And one of the reasons they're struggling is because Carey Price isn't playing well enough. So I explore some of the teams that may be possibilities as trade partners, and the fact that you're probably going to have to take back a bad contract if you do look at trading them, but then you hopefully get some other assets that makes it a worthwhile trade. So I go pretty in depth. I was up till about 2 last night working on it, and then again all morning, and put together a pretty lengthy article that really goes in depth into what might be going through Bergevin's mind as far as, and other teams, which ones might be interested in him. So yeah, I hope people, subscribers and non-subscribers, read it. Hopefully it encourages a few people to sign up and, like you say, read some of the content up there. Dan Maher is putting out great game recaps. You've written some good articles. Not enough, mind you, but hey, hopefully that's going to change. I think there's one in the hamper there, ready to
Yeah,
come out soon.
there's a couple getting put together.
Good stuff. We've been waiting patiently for them, but
Yeah,
yeah,
the Navy
you've been
keeps me pretty busy.
and
Sadly,
coaching.
that too for now.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. But yeah, so between Blain and Dan and all the other content there, you get a chance to win a Suzuki retro jersey. If you sign up, you get an entry. We're having a draw on March 16th. So there's lots of good reasons to sign up. So I'm hoping if you're on the fence that this will tip you over onto our side.
It would definitely make for a great St. Patrick's Day gift for someone. That's for sure.
It's true.
We don't need green as long
I
as
hadn't
they're
thought of
winning.
that. Yeah, I should have got a green retro jersey, but I haven't seen them yet.
No, I don't think they're going to happen.
No.
Now, I do believe that Carey Price, he's at that age now where the team really should be looking at this anyway, finding out what they can do because they do have a good young prospect in Primo coming up soon. So it wouldn't hurt to start kicking some tires.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Allen has proven that uh, you know, he can win games for them.
Yeah.
So maybe a tandem of Primo and Allen isn't that far away.
No.
You also might look at getting a goalie back of some description if you trade Price. Obviously, if another team wants him, they're not going to need the two goalies that they have. The expectation will be that Price will be the starter. So, there's always the possibility of getting one back, and you go with Allen and another guy that's been a starter in the league. And we've seen that how quickly teams, they can have two new guys the next year, and they're better than the guy they had. Goaltending is so unpredictable. A team, you'd have said a couple of years ago that the starting goalies that Carolina have would be the ones that would be playing as well as they are. You just don't know. They thought Darling was going to be the guy a couple of years ago, and it's such an unpredictable position that you get a couple of guys in there, and they may end up both playing better than Price. So yeah, I think you have to look at it. I just say his age.
Yeah.
33. I mean, a lot of guys are still in their prime at that point, and I think that's another reason why there will be teams that are still interested in him. A lot of guys got traded 33 or so, and really prospered with other teams. So I'm not saying he's ready for the boneyard yet. Typically, an elite goalie stays elite till he's 37, 38, but in Price's case, maybe the best is behind us. That's the issue. We don't know. So it's a tough one. I think Bergevin may end up having to tie it, his fate to Carey Price, and if Carey doesn't snap out of this, I think that it could spell the end of Bergevin's tenure as the GM.
Well, a lot of goaltending is between the ears, and some of the issues have been in the past. He has mentioned that he's had issues with his focus and distractions. It could be that all the talk that he's had recently, maybe he's paid attention to it, and it's wearing on him. So it could just be that after years and years and years being in this Montreal fishbowl, it's worn on him. So that could be a factor as well.
Oh, for sure. And that's why when I thought of possible trade partners, the first one that came to mind for me was Nashville for several reasons. But one just being I think he'd be comfortable there. He's a big he's a cowboy, like I say. He loves the rodeo, loves country music, that whole scene. go to a town like Nashville where it's not hockey mad. There'd be less pressure on him. He's not dissected by the media every day. Can enjoy his country music and that whole atmosphere, that whole lifestyle. Maybe something like that might appeal to him. He'd waive his no move clause, and you know Poyle and Bergevin have a history of not being afraid to make a big bold deal like that. So maybe that's a possibility. So it was kind of fun writing the article because you're speculating, right? It's
Yeah.
all a guess. So, but you start thinking about where he could end up if he ever got traded. And the first one that came to mind, and I go into it in pretty good detail, it was Nashville.
Yeah, I'm sure anyone watching now probably has several other ideas of where he could possibly go and what the value could be. And if they want to compare their ideas to yours, just go to recruits.ca, read the article, and then leave a comment, because as authors, we will respond back and we enjoy a good back and forth. So,
Always.
before we sign off, any final thoughts on tonight's Laval game, or anything in general, like your new hat?
Yeah, new old hat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's just I'm going generic just with Canada there. You know, the Red Blacks didn't work, the Habs cap didn't work, so um, go Canada.
I can't argue that. So I'd like to thank everyone for watching. Be sure to check out recruits.ca. Feel free to subscribe and check out all the great content there. Make sure you subscribe to recruits.ca YouTube channel. Hit that little bell so you don't miss a single video or episode that comes out, especially with all the new content that's going to be coming out in the next couple of days. So, Grant, thank you for joining us, and everyone, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.